construction parking that night? Because I Welcome, everybody, to the Rhinetown Park Commission meeting of July 18th, 2023. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, and I would note that appearing for Mayor Klein is David Heiser, trustee of the Village of Rybrook, and appearing for Mayor Marino is Fritz Valenka, former mayor of Portchester and former commissioner of this commission. I'd also like to note that our two Rye City Commissioners, Emily Hurd and Mayor Cohn, will appear by Zoom. If I'm not sure that the mayor will appear, he has a medical issue that he's dealing with. He may be able to come on. So we'll go forward. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hurd?
Here.
Commissioner Jackson?
Here.
Acting Commissioner Falanka?
Here.
Acting Commissioner Heiser?
Here.
President Zuckerman?
Here. I just got a note from Josh that he's working on getting in.
He's working on getting in?
Getting into the meeting, yeah. I assume via Zoom. Adoption of minutes from June 20th, 2023. If there are no additions or corrections, may I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have any members of the public who wish to comment? Anybody on Facebook?
I don't have Facebook open yet. I will in just a second. We do have a comment with regard to an agenda item. Let me know.
Which agenda item?
The discussion with regard to Free Tuesdays.
Okay, when we get to that, we will take that into account. Seeing no other additional items, any comment on non-agenda items, we'll move on to our items of business. The first item is recognition for exemplary service for Charlie DeLeon, our Rye-Town caretaker. As some of you are aware, Charlie interrupted an attempted sexual assault at Rye-Town Park a couple of weeks ago. Charlie is our caretaker, and I may have mentioned this before. Charlie's job is to examine every evening every property owned or managed by the town of Rye, and that includes Crawford Park, the town dock, and of course Rye-Town Park. And in the course of his rounds, Charlie interrupted as I say, a sexual assault, and the person was ultimately caught, arrested, and will be put on trial, hopefully expeditiously. And I just wanted to recognize him publicly for his exemplary service, and we will be giving him a certificate at the Rye Town meeting this Thursday night. And I'd like to ask any of the commissioners if they would like to comment on Mr. DeLeon's performance.
I just want to say I was there when we first interviewed Charlie. He's clearly has great character. This is something that comes from his training. Charlie's a veteran and defended the country, and you know, because of that experience, knew very well what to do when he was confronted with this. And you know, it's great to have someone like Charlie there, and we're just very fortunate that he was in the right place at the right time. And you know, thank you to him and everything that he did.
Thank you, Lindsay. Anybody else? Emily, anything? Thank you, Emily. That leads us into an item that actually Lindsay had suggested, a discussion regarding park safety. Lindsay, do you want to?
Well, I guess the gist of it is that as wonderful as Charlie is, and he did a great job, he can't be all places at once. And we were very fortunate that he happened to be at the right place at the right time. But I do think that there's a broader conversation to have, which is how do we make sure that the park is more secure when no one's there? How do we move forward with making sure that, you know, anyone who's looking to do something nefarious at the park is deterred, whether that be lighting, security cameras, and where do we place them strategically, you know, to make sure that we've kind of responded correctly and park goers are safe.
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment on that? Because I'll make a comment afterwards. Fritz, Emily, David? You were already marked present. We knew you would show up. How are you feeling? Several days. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I think bringing Commissioner Copey in for at least a private initial discussion will be beneficial, and we'll see the direction that goes. In the meanwhile, we do have in our budget for this year provision for additional security measures, and I'm speaking specifically of, I think, both additional security cameras and upgrading the cameras that we do have to a higher degree of resolution, so that we could feel comfortable that at least in some areas of the park we have more coverage. I think Russ has been tasked with that, but we're going to follow up more urgently on those matters. We may wish to put some lighting in. I'm not sure about that because I believe that the residents who live around the park may not be comfortable with a high degree of lighting, but that also I think is subject to discussion, and I think that all avenues should be discussed and evaluated. So I'm finished with that part. Anybody from the audience? Jamie, do you have anything? No?
I think Commissioner Copey's very experienced and has a wealth of knowledge. I'd be interested to see what he comes back with.
All right. Next item up is discussion of our current capital projects and the 2023 consolidated funding application. The first thing I'd like to discuss and present is something that's ongoing right now, which is our bathhouse window replacement. Debbie, do we have that up?
Yes, I thought we were going to be doing for Tuesdays.
I don't even have that on my agenda, Debbie.
Item number one?
No, my item number one is Charlie DeLeon, so my iPad has not been updated. So, and I've refreshed, I'm going to refresh again.
While you're
Okay, it is
refreshing,
now,
do you-
it has now been updated. Okay. Now,
Would you like
now,
to start
my
with the
item
video
number
from
one
today?
is discussion and possible extension of the Free Tuesday program. The first Tuesday, we had approximately 200 people attend, and were admitted. They were all city and town residents. I believe we got a text, it was either from Russ or Jose, that the number today was what, 57? Something like that?
Approximately correct.
And
Russ is with us, he can
Russ,
give us the number.
Close enough, it was 58.
We still had about close to 60 people.
That's correct, that's correct. Just south of that.
Okay.
So all things considered, that's a real number, you know?
so the fee on a Tuesday is $5 for a resident. So basically, it costs the park $300 for today and about $1,000 for the first Free Tuesday. So I don't think we'll expect much more than we got last week. So the question is whether we wish to extend the Free Tuesday program to the end of August. There are additional 4 Tuesdays in August. And do we have, my feeling is we should extend it, but I'd like to hear from the other council people. Josh, Emily? Debbie? Any more? Josh? regarding the financial statement.
My reading of the financial statement, and we only received it yesterday, so I haven't had a lot of time to spend with this. Our actual performance, bottom line, is, actually shows slightly better than would have been anticipated after June. So it's a smaller deficit than the pro forma would have predicted. So our net deficit for June, obviously this is a draft budget, is $48,737, as opposed to what the pro forma had anticipated of $177,304. So that's slightly better. But Josh is correct in that we've sold fewer permits than last year, although our income is higher. Our beach admissions is, let's see. Our beach admission pro rata would have had us around $360,000, and at the moment we're at $456,000. So $96,000 better than the pro rata, and not too far off from our. I take your back. I'm looking at the permit line. So we're slightly behind in actual from where we would be pro rata. So $10,000 less than what we had anticipated by this time last year. So it's mixed.
I think there's also several factors that we have to take into account, and the first factor is that last year the Playland Beach was closed.
Very
So
true.
we had an
Very true.
uptick in residents. I mean, I do understand where Commissioner Cohen is coming from, but on the other hand, is allowing residents who ultimately support the park in the end, if we have a deficit, correct? That residents.
If we run an operating deficit, there will be a bill to the city and to the town taxpayers.
Correct. So they would be paying for it ultimately, and my understanding is, and Russ, correct me if I'm wrong, we would have the same amount, this hasn't required additional staffing levels at the park, correct? Are we?
That's correct.
So the park would,
Staffing levels had not been affected.
not paying for any additional lifeguards, et cetera, the only kind of outcome is that more residents are using the park that they ultimately support.
Right.
Right. Just it.
If anything, it entices residents.
I'm sorry, Lindsay, I didn't mean to cut you
Sorry.
off. It's a gift to the residents who are not season permit holders.
Yeah, it's who would be footing the bill anyway, and it ultimately entices or kind of excites residents and gets their attention on the beach and gets them to go to the beach, and then they go maybe on a Wednesday, where they would be paying an admission.
Right. So, I mean, my view is similar to Lindsay's. I've made no secret of it that my position has been all along that I'd like to work towards having free beach admission for residents. The residents pay for any deficit, and I think we need to encourage those residents who could not otherwise afford a season pass, and those residents who could not afford to pay a daily admission at the rate that we currently charge. And I'm speaking only of residents who support the park anyway, through their taxes. So that has been my position, and from what I can see, the most that we would lose, I can't possibly conceive more than 200 people, because we had a beautiful Tuesday, perfect Tuesday. And if that's the mark, you're talking about a possible loss of $1,000 per Tuesday. And I think that the balance for being able to allow residents who otherwise would have to pay and who might not be able to afford to otherwise pay, I think outweighs the potential loss. And I'm thinking, I admit, I'm thinking specifically of the residents from Portchester, who are of, not obviously not everybody, but we have a lower economic strata coming from the village of Portchester. And it's my view that we should do everything we can to encourage Portchester residents to use the beach. It's my position. Fritz, anything from you as a former Portchester mayor?
I certainly agree with Lindsay's comments. Again, I want to ask Russ, on the first Tuesday, how many people took advantage of the free Tuesday
200.
again? How many?
200.
Some of these never saw the beach before. I don't know that for a fact, but I think it gives them an opportunity to see what the beach is all about. Possibly in the future, they might be out there, if they couldn't afford it, try to at least attend to the beach, come to the beach more, and possibly even buy a permit in the future. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's something that the people of Portchester, and I'm sure the city of Rye and Rybrook, wherever, Rye Neck, might take advantage of. So I'm certainly in support of this. It's even more, when the publicity, more publicity gets out on it, I think you'll see more people taking advantage of it.
Only 25% knew about the free,
Right.
in which case 75% would have gone even if they had to pay.
Correct.
So it's a much smaller loss, actually.
I have a video teed up if you'd like to see it from today's event.
From today's, all right. Do you want to read the comment of the person?
Yes.
I think we have somebody who made a comment about it.
To the park commissioners for Rytown Park, Rytown Beach and Park, from Deborah Della Mura. Since Free Tuesdays is a pilot program, I think it is very important for you to consider feedback from paying patrons of the beach who actually were there experiencing what it was like on Free Tuesday. I have a season permit and I am a Rye resident. I got the permit because I enjoy the beach and have always had nice experiences there. I have never seen it the way it was on Free Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. To begin with, I do not think there should be Free Tuesdays. I think it is unfair to the residents of Rye, Portchester, that pay for season passes. I think that this program undermines the privacy and exclusiveness of the beach. My experience on Tuesdays supports that Free Tuesdays affects the enjoyment of the beach by those who pay. If I had gone on Tuesday and it was the same as always was, I would not be writing this letter. But it was a very different beach experience, so much that I will not go back on a Tuesday until Free Tuesdays is over. To start with, I arrived to park my car. The parking attendant was turning away all cars that did not have season permits because the lot was so packed. I had a season permit, so I was allowed in, but I had to park all the way far back in the other gravel lot. I do not normally have to go that far. This was not fair to me. So now we have people who got in for free taking up space in the lot that should be going to paying people. The beach was very crowded. The bathrooms were horrible. I am not a fan of the bathrooms as they are old and in need of renovation. But on free Tuesdays, the bathrooms were unlike anything I've ever seen. Normally, at your beach, there is never a line, and the bathrooms, while old, are never disgusting. On free Tuesdays, the bathrooms were filthy, with lines out the door. The toilets were disgusting and unusable as they were left unflushed. There were lines of women making it hard to even get in or out. If a decision was made to make this free Tuesday as a pilot program, then accommodations must be made to ensure the cleanliness of the bathrooms. There must be attendants in the bathrooms constantly cleaning them. It is not fair to the people who pay for season passes or non-resident who pay large fees to get in to have their day at the beach ruined by people who got in for free. One might ask, well, the people who got in for free are Rye and Portchester residents, so how did that change things? Whether explainable or not, it did not change things. It did change things, pardon me. Perhaps when people don't pay, they don't care and do whatever they want to. Perhaps the caliber of people that came was different. All I know is what I saw. I was with friends there who paid as they are non-residents. We all said we'd never go back on free Tuesdays. So how it is fair to have free Tuesdays when we have people paying for season passes and non-residents paying to get in? Rye Portchester residents who cannot afford a season pass can afford to pay for their day at the beach. They still get a reduced rate for the beach and pay for parking like everyone else. Having a free day changes the experience for the people that are paying in the long run. The beach will less money because people won't bother going there.
Thank you. Russ, do you have a comment on the cleanliness of the bathrooms, and can you comment on the number of people that were at the beach compared to a normal, for example, holiday beach experience or a weekend beach experience? What I'm trying to, what I'm trying to get at is, in your experience, the fact that we had a busy Tuesday in terms of the number of people attending the beach using the restrooms is not any different than any other busy day. Is that correct?
As you exclusivity of a public park. I think that's not in the spirit of why the Wright-Town Park Commission exists. It's, Wright-Town Park Commission is for the taxpayers of Wright-Town, regardless of whether or not, they feel like they're an exclusive experience.
That phrase also hit me when I heard
Yeah.
that it runs counter to the exclusivity of our park. Our park is not exclusive. It's a public park open to everybody, whether they are a resident of Rybrook, Portchester, City of Rye, Rye Neck, or whether they're a resident of New Rochelle or Harrison. It's open. There are different rates, but it's open to everybody. It's not an exclusive park.
No. I don't think public parks should be exclusive at all. They're public parks for the people.
I believe the concept of an exclusive public park is an oxymoron.
Yes.
So, all right. Are there additional comments? I mean, I feel actually more strongly now than I did before.
There are no comments on the Facebook feed.
Anybody from the audience wish to comment on this matter? If not, I'll entertain a motion to extend Free Tuesdays for the next 4 Tuesdays to the end of August. That's prior to Labor Day. We'll take a vote.
I'll second.
Wait, is there a motion?
I said I'll entertain a motion. Do I hear a motion?
Oh.
Move that one.
Okay,
I'll
second.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further comment? I don't see Josh and Emily. I know that you're not overly in favor of this.
Look, we work hard.
Agree 100% with you that we work very hard on these budgets, and we should take that into account. I don't think that this will put a big dent in, and I would suggest that there will be several Tuesdays where the weather will not be good, so that we're not going to have that many people in. We hope that it's good because we want more people to come to the beach. But thank you for your comments. Emily, you as well?
I'm just chiming in. I mean,
I think you're right. It's something we do have to think about, and I think that we will have a much better handle on it at the completion of the season when we do our season end review as to what it was. And the fact is that the determining factor on whether the park operates at a profit or operates at a deficit is the weather. You know, that's simply just the way it is. when we have a nice day, whether it's during the week or on a weekend, when we have a nice day, the park is filled. And when we don't have a nice day, even on a Saturday or Sunday, the park is not filled. So, anyway, thank you, everybody, for your comments. And Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cohn? Yes. Commissioner Hurd?
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Falanka?
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
President Zuckerman?
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for a very full and informed discussion. Before we go on, I know that we have a trustee from Portchester sitting in the audience, and I think she wants to make a comment. So we'll go back. I know now she has a pretty little one with her who just got a glass of water. She was coughing. So Julie, do you want to step up?
Hi, good evening. My name is Juliana Alzate. I'm a trustee in the Village of Portchester. I just wanted to make a comment. I use the Rye-Town Park often. I love going there. I love going to the beach and to the lawn area. And I have to say that the new sand is wonderful. It has a new feel. It just gives the beach a new feeling of like a different place. I also play volleyball for on Monday nights, and it's wonderful. We're not cutting our feet with the gravel, and it just feels like a whole new different place, and it feels wonderful. And the beach mats, when I go with my niece to the beach, it's easier to take her in the stroller. So I think the improvements that have been made are wonderful, and it's a big improvement for the park in general. Oh, and then for last, based on the comments that you read for the email, I think July 11th was an off day because we had to make up a volleyball game. So I think it just brought even more people that day. So I think there was just a couple of things going on that night, and I agree with the board that it shouldn't be exclusive. It's a public park, and I think if it could be open for the residents, that would be even better. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Julia. Appreciate it. And I think you play volleyball with Catherine Parker's husband, correct?
I do, with David Walker. Yeah,
That's
we're on
the
the same
team.
team.
That's a very, very big sport on the beach.
It is, and it's wonderful because it just brings a whole lively version of different, it seems like it's a different place, and it's wonderful to be there.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was at an event, and most of you were there with the Chamber of Commerce the other evening, and I heard many positive comments with regard to the mats, the sand, and the park itself. So I agree with Trustee Alzate and her comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to remind everybody, that lovely sand came from a FEMA grant where we were, I wouldn't say reimbursed, where they granted the sum of $260,000 to us to replace sand that was lost with Hurricane Ida. And we got the sand on county contract, so we got a very excellent price for it. And it's very high-quality sand, as you heard from Trustee Alzante. And we're very pleased with it. And thank you also for the remarks on the mats. We're all of the commissioners are getting positive comments for both the sand and the mats. So, thank you.
Wasn't the sand, if I'm mistaken, from a local supplier?
Yeah, it's from Carriera. He was the supplier.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a county contract.
Yeah, which,
Portchester,
Yeah,
from
I love-
Portchester. Portchester Sand.
yes.
So, great. All right. Thank you. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
And your niece. All right, excuse me. Next item is discussion of the capital projects. I started to say the bathhouse windows first. Ongoing, Were you gonna, Debbie, before I get to that, you were gonna show a picture of the,
We had an event, or a photo op this morning. If you'd like to see, we have
Sure.
a video.
I didn't even know we were doing this. I know we took pictures, but. Mayor Cohn was there. Mayor Klein was there. I was there. Pam Jaffe, Nancy Barr. Catherine Parker was there. She wasn't on the bus there. It was an adventure. So, and some pictures. There's Mayor Cohn in the front. That picture. There we all are. Mayor Klein, Nancy, Catherine, Pamela. So it was nice. I mean, we did this to, because the county, once we announced our free Tuesdays, the county was gracious enough to extend the number 13 bus specially to Rytown Park from Playland. It normally goes from Playland, so the bus went from Portchester to Rye to Playland to Rytown Park. So thank you. Okay, windows. As you're all aware, we issued a window contract to Laz Development. And the window installation started right after July 4th. And in short order, all of the windows have now been installed. And by the way, hold that picture. Those windows that you see up there used to be plywood. And as Russ remarked to me, this is the first time that room has seen the light of day in over 20 years. And they have been completed. I saw the last ones being installed today. The windows are not finished. We have to, the contractor has to do the trim and the stucco, and we're actually trying to get more money from the county to do more stucco to enhance the exterior of the building.
You mean weatherproof the
Well,
building?
enhance, it meaning weatherproofing the building so that when we do the interior, we don't have the interior falling apart again. As we heard from many sources, it needs work on the interior. So that's the window installation. And we have, the other thing that is almost ongoing is our tunnel bathrooms, or beach level bathrooms, for which we're getting a grant through, this one is from Shelley Mayer's office through the State Senate. And we're almost ready to go to bid on that. We're waiting for approval from SHPO. We have our seeker is completed. For some reason, SHPO wants to make sure that we're not adversely affecting any historical resources. And anybody who knows what the tunnel looks like knows that there are no resources there right now except the staircase falling down. So that's what we're waiting for, and with any luck, we'll go out to bid on that project. I had hoped at the end of the month, but I'll be more pessimistic and say within the first 2 weeks of August. And the work must be completed by next spring because the Department of Health is going to threaten to shut us down. So we need to do that.
So I brought up, we've received some documents from the architect today. I brought up a floor plan of what the new facility is will look like. And these plans, this format has been approved by the Department of Health.
Okay, we have that, that's in, that's under 5.5 of the capital projects, if you want to take a look at it. Debbie's got, the bathrooms are up on the screen, I guess the public can see that. Those replace non-existent bathrooms. So that's an addition. It's actually replacing an old men's room that's falling apart, up the stairs that are falling apart. Have I phrased that correctly, Debbie?
Yeah, I think you have.
And how is the structural integrity of the tunnels that we're putting the bathrooms in?
On multiple occasions, we have been down there, and our experts have not advised us that there's an issue.
Oh, beautiful.
Those tunnels go under the tower building and under the pavilions. So,
Gary, if I may, yeah,
sure.
When I was in my younger days, going to Oakland
2
Beach,
months
we
ago.
called it, yeah, I wish it was. Certainly going into the tunnel, into the area over there, even in those days was a little, but I could tell you one thing, I see that what you're trying to do here with the bathhouse window replacements and beach level bathrooms is a must. It's time. They're probably the same as when I was a teenager. So I think it's a must to make the improvements. We got a beautiful beach, beautiful park there, and this is something that hopefully you get the money for to complete the projects.
Well, that money we have.
Yeah,
So
well-
depending on what the final bid is,
Yeah,
we
right.
have $250,000 for the bathrooms.
And both projects need to be done.
Thank you. Comments? Any comments, Emily or Josh? Just pipe in because, Josh? As opposed to the ones that were there. So, all right. Capital projects. Let's talk about the CFA applications. First one is the Green Infrastructure Grant Program. James Natarelli, our engineer, is here. We're going to have brief presentations on that. What we're doing, we have pictures.
Good evening. Thank you, President Zuckerman. So my name is James Natarelli, and I'm an engineer with the Dolph Rothfeld Engineering Division of AI Engineers, and I've been working on this project, these green infrastructure improvements to the Rydtown Park Beach parking lot. There are a few renderings that you'll see in this presentation. I'm not responsible for any of them. I'd like to give credit to the artist, but I'm not really sure who it is. Debbie, you might know, but hopefully at some point we can recognize the artist. So, existing conditions, I'm sure you're all very familiar. The parking lot is all completely impervious. There's, it's all asphalt everywhere. It's the aisles, the stalls, the medians, the curbs, everything is asphalt. So the parking lot has fallen into disrepair. It's old, it's crumbling. There have been some patch jobs, there's still potholes. The ADA lot, which is the lower right-hand corner in that picture, that's probably the worst of it. It's the lowest point of the parking lot. There are some drains down there. It collects all the stormwater. Leaving that area is a 6-inch pipe that connects into Dearborn Avenue. And that's really like, it's a roadblock. It prevents a lot of that water from leaving the parking lot. So that water sits around, it gets into places where it shouldn't get into, and it starts to break up the pavement. I had some points here. It's 100% impervious, the asphalt's crumbling, there's poor drainage, which I just mentioned. There's also this heat island effect. And a heat island effect is where you have hard surfaces, such as concrete, asphalt, they absorb the sunlight, and then they re-emit it, and it just becomes very hot. And this is a prime example of that. There's no shade anywhere. You have some old growth trees on the west side of the parking lot, but other than that, there's no relief from the sun in this parking lot. It is hot. We were just there last week. We were having a meeting with Save the Sound, And we were walking through the parking lot, showing them this project, and there was a huge difference standing in the parking lot versus standing under those old growth trees. Temperature must have been 10 degrees cooler, no exaggeration. So there's no doubt that that's an issue here. And lastly, you have kind of the skewed layout. The entrance comes in, the driveway comes in and kind of makes a little bit of a left turn, and you end up with some angled parking spots in the middle of the parking lot. In the upper right-hand corner, a lot more angled parking spaces. And so that's an issue too. I mean, it doesn't seem like the most efficient layout for the parking spaces. So before I get into some of the ideas that we had come up with, I just want to go through some of the stormwater management practices that we've been using and trying to design with. Yes.
Commissioners are aware of this. I'm not sure the public is. This is the third time we're applying for this grant. After each grant, we've had a meeting with the Environmental Facilities Corporation's
I'm
people.
going to go through all of the applications too.
You're going to do that?
I'll go quickly. I won't take
Okay.
up too much of your time. So, what I just want to make clear, because they have to do with the applications, I want to kind of explain what these stormwater practices are. The first one is permeable pavers or porous pavement. They're very similar in what they do. They just allow water to seep right through. Pavers are just that. It's like if you have bathroom tile that have built-in spacers, they're kind of like that. They allow water to seep in the joints, whereas porous pavement is asphalt, and it's made with certain types of aggregate and binder that allow there to be voids in the surface, allow water to seep through. So it can be installed as an infiltration practice, where if you have good underlying soil, it'll infiltrate the soil, or you can put an under drain underneath to collect the water and pipe it elsewhere. There's also a practice called biofiltration, and it's at the surface. It's a landscaping treatment. It infiltrates stormwater, and then it can go into an underdrain, or it can go into the soil. Biofiltration specifically is not really meant to go into the soil underneath. It's where maybe you don't have good percolation. You'd collect the stormwater, subsurface, perforated pipe, and pipe it elsewhere. But it does have very good water quality improvement characteristics. And the last practice is bioretention, which is very similar to biofiltration, and the only difference is that it does infiltrate. So you would put this somewhere where you do have good percolation, but it has all those same water quality characteristics as biofiltration. So the first application that we put in 2019 for this grant, this is the layout that we had for it. It was, we were redoing the whole parking lot, but then we were also adding the auxiliary parking lot, which is off to the west. We tried to put in, we had spotty results on the percolation tests that we did, so we were really just doing this as a pass-through filtration project. We had porous pavement, we had these biofiltration systems, but it was mainly just get the water through, clean it up, and let it keep going. So it was more water quality than anything else. And on this application, we were denied. In 2021, we reduced the footprint. Some of the feedback that we got was that the funds that we were looking for were not really commensurate with the project itself. So in 2021, we focused on really the worst area of the parking lot, which was this ADA area, which is still kind of the worst, in my opinion. And we thought, let's ask for less money, and we'll just put in what we can. So we did that. It was still, it's still kind of on the pricey side because, you don't have that economy of scale. We were doing it, again, mostly as a pass-through type design. At this point, we also added in the daylighting of the pond outlet, which really didn't do us any favors because that also was more of a water quality project. They were looking at water quantity projects. They wanted to see a reduction in runoff. So this was a no-go. We were denied on this one as well. The second one we did in 2021, there was a quick turnaround, but we managed to put something together where we tried to maximize what we could. We kept the existing layout. We put in biofiltration in every single median, every single existing median. This is the same exact layout as what's there today. And then we just maximized where we could put porous pavement. This one too, we were denied. Same idea, it was mostly pass-through. We were trying to show that we could really do a lot here. We were trying to show that economy of scale. We still had the pond outlet, They really didn't like this project. So that brings us to the current application. We changed a lot. It doesn't really look like it, but we changed a lot of what we're now proposing. We went back, we did perk tests everywhere. We wanted to find every square inch that would allow us to absorb stormwater. So what we did, we came up with this. We reconfigured the parking lot to provide landscaping in all of the medians. So now we're reducing impervious by at least 5%, or about 5%. We're proposing porous pavement for all the parking stalls unless they're next to buildings or large growth trees on the western side, where construction would likely harm the tree's root structures. Porous pavement is only recommended for low traffic areas, which is why we keep it to the stalls, and traditional pavement everywhere else. In addition to the porous pavement, we're showing a combination of biofiltration and bioretention. So we're using those focal points that I mentioned before for some filtration, but we did find areas that we were getting some significant infiltration. So that's the area that you'll see in the bottom. I don't know if does the mouse work? No, I can't point to it. The driveway, when you come in just to the left, we got some great percolation rate there. So we're really maximizing that spot. That's going to be that would be a nice big bioretention area. It's mainly like a rain garden. You know, it's planted, it will collect stormwater, and it will infiltrate stormwater. In addition to the porous pavement, we're showing a combination mentioned that, we're adding 27 shade trees. So we're doing that in every single median, all native species, only native species, and we're really going to change the look and feel of the parking lot by doing that. And the last thing we did was we standardized the layout. We're realigning the parking spaces. We're making it come straight in. We're removing the angled parking spaces from the larger parking lot in the upper right-hand corner. Unfortunately, that lends itself really best to this angled parking lot layout, so we're going to keep it. And that is what we're showing here. So this idea, this is really what sets this application apart from the rest, is a stormwater treatment train. And this schematic represents approximately a third of the entire set of watershed areas and practices by square foot. The arrows illustrate the path of stormwater or flow, and in many cases you'll see it going both ways, and that's by design. So the idea is to detain as much stormwater as possible underground in these practices until it infiltrates or effectively becomes retained on site. We think this makes it a very strong application because this is something that was lacking in the previous ones. So the preliminary calculations show that the system is capable of retaining and infiltrating the entire water quality volume storm, which accounts for approximately 90% of all runoff producing storms, and up to the 10-year storm. Larger storms will still be retained. We'll still retain a significant volume of those storms, but the system will eventually overflow and flow out to the city's stormwater system where it goes now. But where it goes now, it's going unabated. We have some control over this. So what I wanted to show you was this little illustration. It's very similar to what you just saw, but maybe shows it a little bit better. We've got porous pavement on the left, bioretention in the middle, and they're connected by an underground perforated pipe. Each practice has its own set of layers of crushed stone, granular material for filtration and for storage. The perforated pipe is connected to a control structure with an internal weir. That's the light blue line that you see in that structure. And during a storm, you have initial infiltration through each practice and into the underlying soil. As the storm continues or intensifies, the underlying soil can't keep up with the incoming stormwater, so the storage in each practice will begin to fill. And as the stormwater is held back by the weir, infiltration will continue, and the higher performing practices will pick up the slack for the slower performing practices. And they'll share the burden of the stormwater that's coming in. If the stormwater is still too much, the water will rise to the weir elevation, and it'll go over, and then out the outlet pipe to the next control structure downstream, or to another infiltration opportunity. Or they'll just go out of the system completely, connect to the city system. Once the rain and the runoff stop, the stormwater will remain in storage in each practice, held back by the weir, and over time infiltrate into the underlying soil until it empties and it's ready for the next storm. That's the idea behind this. This is a little bit of how the sausage is made. This is our model that we're using to model all the storm events, to size all the practices, and make sure that they're actually going to work. And just to show you a few before and afters, and this is really where the credit to the artist comes in. Here is the existing parking lot and the proposed view. A few things are missing from this. We're still going back and forth with the artist about bringing it up to date. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner, that's the ADA portion of the parking lot. It looks pretty bare. We've actually added 3 trees along that median, another one back towards the tower. And also, there are a couple trees missing in the left-hand side of the page at the end of that median. Here's another view of the parking lot and similar orientation, the artist's rendering. Again, this lower right-hand portion would have trees, a lot more shade. What you're seeing in this one also is the difference in pavement texture. The porous pavement will look a little bit different, not a whole lot, but it looks a little bit different. We wanted to highlight that difference in the renderings. This is from the first slide, the opening slide. It's facing southeast towards the entrance. This is from the back corner, facing the entrance. And this is facing north with your back towards Dearborn. And this is in the foreground. You'll see that's a bioretention area. It's all planted. It's meant to have a little depression in it where it can collect stormwater. And underground is where all the magic happens with the perforated pipe. And that's all. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight one thing that you said. We had a meeting at the parking lot last week, not only with us, but we brought Save the Sound in, and also another group called Sea Grant. And I think you're all aware of Save the Sound, and they are their representative was not able to join us tonight, but they are very enthusiastic about this. They will certainly give us not only a letter of support, but they're going to help us to find additional grant monies, as will Sea Grant. The nice thing about Sea Grant is they also give grants to pay us to pay our grant writers. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to take advantage of that next year. I think with the assistance of Save the Sound, and we've been in contact with Congressman Bowman's office, they're interested in finding us some green projects. Congressman told me that, find me green projects, so this is a green project, and we're hoping we're going to get can find some federal funding. I have to be honest with you, this is an expensive project. The estimated cost is $2.5 million. It's a 75% grant, which is wonderful, but it's still over $600,000 local match. So in order for us to go forward with this, we're going to look very hard to get additional matching funds from other sources, and we think that we're going to be able to do this. Even if we get they usually announce the grants in December, and we have generally 5 years to complete the project. So that gives us time to get additional matching funds to alleviate our local share burden. Questions? Josh, questions?
The question is, net cost to town and city with this project as opposed to the cost of a presumably non-subsidized regular paving project?
Well, I've been told, and I'm not sure what it would be, but this is, our local share would be probably 50%. It would still cost $1 million to do the lot. And
So this is substantially cheaper in
yeah, and it becomes even less expensive if we get matching grants, because we'll never get any kind of a grant for a regular asphalt lot. But here, I think we have a substantial ability to get several $100,000 towards our matching grant. So this should, and as I say, we have 5 years to do this. So hopefully, we'll be able to put all this money together and have very little local match for the taxpayers of the city and the town.
A question for Mr. Natarelli, and that is, how long will he expect this parking lot to last? And say, as compared to a plain old asphalt lot?
They would have very similar lives, but I say that with a lot of caveats. It depends on the contractor and how well they do their work. It depends on the material. It depends on the maintenance. All things being equal, they should last the same amount of time. A standard lot versus a green infrastructure lot.
Commissioners? Anybody else? Emily? I see Josh. Emily, do you have anything? All right. James, thank you very much.
No, I mean, it was, no. Sorry, no.
Okay. Our next project is the bathhouse interior alterations for ADA. Gary Gianfrancesco is the architect. He's not going to make a presentation because he is landing in Greece just about now on vacation, but he has submitted plans that are in your folders. I'm looking for the I don't have on mine the actual plans, but I've seen them. Yes, I've seen that. Anyway, do you want to put that up on the screen, Deb?
You know, I'm not sure if I have it on there. I wasn't sure of the value putting out the construction documents, but let me see if I've got it. I didn't bring it with me.
All right, I think we've seen it before. It's in your, is that in your phone? Is that the retaining wall, Fritz? That's a retaining wall, okay. Well, it's redoing, it's redoing the bathrooms to alleviate a lot of the conditions, including the plumbing. As Lindsay has mentioned many times, and we saw in the letter that was read to the commission today, it also includes converting the permit office and the captain's office and the director's office to ADA compliance. And the estimate for that is about $850,000. And we look back, the original, it says on the memo that it's scaled back. I had Debbie put on the memo that's in your folder, the original estimate when we applied, when Lisa Easton was the architect, the estimate there was 1.5 million. So this has been scaled back and will still be a structure. Anybody who knows Gary's work, who knows the work that he's done in Crawford Park here, knows that it'll be first class at a reasonable price. And of course, all pricing is dependent on the public bids process. And we're hopeful, as I had actually had a discussion earlier today with Josh about that, and luckily inflation has abated somewhat, and we're hopeful that the estimates that are here will not be exceeded and may even be decreased if inflation continues to abate. That remains to be seen, and as Josh told me, that may be wishful thinking, but thinking nonetheless. The third project is Debbie has up, that's our famous retaining wall near the bathhouse that extends from the bathhouse to the promenade, and then right turn to the parallel to the promenade. And that, you can see the plans, that's an estimated $466,000. We have also put this in for member items with Congressman Bowman, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, who have all told us that this will be before the Appropriations Committee. So we may be able to accomplish this without the state grant, and if we do get the state grant, our local match would be taken care of if we got those member items. So, questions on any of those? Yeah, that's up above James' head. That's in our folder. That's the retaining wall project. That will all be brand new and of poured concrete. And as you could see, we retain the architectural impediments. James, what do you call those?
I always call them capitals.
The capitals, right. Tried to remember that term from my study of Roman art history. Capitals. So all of that has been retained. Okay, questions?
And this wall, once repaired, will open up more parking, correct?
Yeah, the temporary fences that are there will be removed.
Will
So
be
we'll get
removed.
another 10 spaces.
Which that's key.
Every day, from May 1st through until we close on October 1st.
I know, that's important.
Okay, we have a resolution, and I know Josh and I have had discussions about the resolution. I'm looking for it on, okay.
The resolution is under 5.4.
I know, I have it. I jumped to 5.5 to discuss this. And I know that, Josh, you and I have discussed this at length, the resolution, and you're concerned with part of it. If I strike the section, the last 3 lines, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, my computer glitched and I have to go back and...
Well, can I repeat then? Because I know that you have it in your mind. Removing the section and upon approval of said request to enter into a project agreement, to strike that clause and just to authorize the commission to make the application. Will that be sufficient for you?
Yes, if it ends with making the application, then that is fine. As we've discussed, Gary, I've got a nod on this from the Rice City Council for the retaining wall, but not the other projects. I'm getting out front a little bit by resolving to apply, but I would like to be able to do that. However, saying we'll enter into an agreement regardless of whether we can negotiate form and content goes to the acceptance stage of the grant. And certainly, City of Rye is not close to that at this point. So, again, I don't have it in front of me. I should have it up in a second. But what I think we're in agreement.
Okay, so the resolution, Debbie, will end at the word program, period, and eliminate "and upon such approval." Those last three lines will be eliminated, okay?
Yeah, I have it up and then that's just fine. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, may I then have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Debbie, please call the roll on Resolution 23-18 as amended.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Falanka,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Heiser,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Thank you. Let's skip down to 5.7. Last resolution about two boats. There are two boats that our park director has claimed are no longer seaworthy or adequate for park operations, and we wish to declare them surplus and to sell or dispose of them. Any questions from the commission? If not, may I have a resolution, a motion and
I'll
a
make a
second?
motion
Thank you. Second,
to
please.
declare the two-boat surplus.
Second.
Okay, Debbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Falanka,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Heiser,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Okay, has everybody read the Rye Town Management Report? The one disturbing factor in there for me, and I will have further discussions with Russ and Debbie about it, is the continued flooding. And I don't know what the status was with the last storm the other day, but we have the flood that, I know that Russ has put sandbags in the culvert to prevent water from going onto the beach. I'm not sure how successful it is, but I just want everybody to know that we're gonna have continued discussions with the Barley Beach House about the situation over there. The financial statement, Debbie just kind of reviewed it briefly. If you don't have questions, I would like, Josh had requested the operating and capital budget, and I'd like to touch base with the capital budget. If nobody has any questions about the financial statement at this point. Any questions? If not, Josh, thank you for actually requesting this, because I was reviewing it. And there are certain things that we've accomplished. And I'm talking now about what I call the minor capital work, such as the hot water heaters for the restrooms, which have been installed. And we have beach leveling. If replenishment project cannot be conducted, well, it's been conducted, so I am pleased to report that we just saved $30,000. The Luke 2 parking stations, I don't know if you noticed, but the new parking station has been installed near the bathroom area and the duck pond. So when you come in from the parking lot in that direction, you have 2 parking stations to pay with. The other things are not yet complete. And I don't know if Russ wants to comment now. The one thing that really I'm interested in is the last item, which is the security system, which we have budgeted $5,000 for this year. And I think that we need to move forward on that and investigate exactly what we want to do. If necessary, perhaps we could use some of the money we saved on the beach leveling to enhance the security system. We have not done any parking lot pothole repairs, for which we've budgeted $20,000. I don't know if that's necessary. I'd like to get a report on that. I don't even know what the temporary safety fence panels are. Debbie, do you have any idea what that is?
Yes, those are the panels that are keeping people from walking under the unstable retaining wall so that the wall
Okay.
doesn't fall on them at the wrong moment. Actually, any moment the wall falls would be a wrong moment.
I agree. We have 2 gates, parking lot control gate and the swing gate control access to the overflow parking area. Neither of those have been started. And I'd like to get a report on that, as well as what are we doing with our parking enforcement vehicle? Is that something that's still on the plans to get this year? Or are we
When I met
abandoning that?
with Russ about that, he said that the staff didn't feel it was necessary. So we'll
Okay,
punt for
just
another
saved
year.
another $12,000. What about the outboard motor? That's not a big expense. Are we getting that?
We did get it, but it was not satisfactory. It's been returned, and I'm not sure what's going on with it next.
Are we getting replacement?
That's the idea, yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions on the small capital projects at this time. Anybody else have questions? I'd like to get updates next month on these, okay, Deb?
Yes.
Especially, I'd like to make progress on the security system. Our next meeting is August the 15th. First of all, remind me, did I skip anything? Usually I skip one item. Today's item that I skipped was handled. The Tuesday's program. I think I've hit everything on the agenda.
Correct.
Okay. Comments from the commissioners? Anybody? Anybody? Josh? Emily? No?
Yeah,
For the nice-
okay,
Go ahead, Josh.
it's often, it seems, my job to ask questions about the projects and grants and the like. I do want to, and I've said this before, applaud Gary in particular and the commission and Debbie and staff for all the work that goes into finding grants and resourcing the funds that we have been able to get and that I hope we're able to get in the future.
Thank you, Josh. That comment is very much appreciated. Thank you very much for that. Lindsay?
Somewhat off topic, but I think it's worth mentioning. Rytown had a loss,
I was going to mention that at the town.
town
At the
meeting
town
as
meeting,
well,
yeah.
but I think Ann Capisi was an amazing, incredible person who did so much for Rytown, and that includes Rytown Park. And she will be missed, and I just think it's important that we mention her and her decades of service to this town. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention anything tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. And we will have a moment of silence at the town meeting on Thursday night. Anything else? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, just one thing, Gary.
Yes, before, you got it before the adjournment.
Yeah, it's good to see Fred's back in his old seat.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have a rotating crew from Portchester now. All of them competent.
Looking good, Fred's.
Thank you, Mayor. So are you, and it's good to sit here every once in a while. I'm very fond of Brightown Park, and I'm happy to see all the improvements that are being made and the grants that we're going after. There's been a lot of neglect at that park for many years, and I'm glad we're addressing them and hopefully bringing it up to the best park in Westchester County.
Thank Fritz. You know something, the one thing I've noticed about Fritz, especially lately, so much more relaxed. Look at it. I mean, there's just no tension in his face.
Retirement is great.
Thank you. Again, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody.